Isolation. It's a word we often associate with peaceful solitude, a retreat from the chaos of life. But in Still Wakes the Deep, isolation takes on a much darker meaning. You're not just alone, you're trapped. The infinite expanse of the ocean stretches beyond the horizon, an unbroken void that's as indifferent as it is unforgiving. Your only shelter is an aging, creaking oil rig, suspended in the middle of nowhere, battered by storms that seem intent on tearing it apart. And yet, somehow, the real terror doesn't come from the sea or the collapsing structure. It comes from the shadows within. Still Wakes the Deep isn't just a horror game. It's a descent into the fragility of human control. The rig becomes a microcosm for survival, where every creak, groan, and shudder feels like a death knell. This isn't the kind of horror that jumps out at you from behind a door. It's the slow, creeping realization that no one is coming to save you. The game excels at making you feel small and vulnerable, and it does so with unrelenting precision. At its heart, Still Wakes Deep is a game about hubris. The oil rig is more than just a setting. It's a symbol. It represents humanity's audacious attempt to conquer nature, to impose order on something as chaotic and untamable as the ocean. But the rig is dying. The structure groans under its own weight, straining against the elements in a losing battle. Every step you take through its claustrophobic hallways is a reminder of its impending collapse. The rig becomes a character in its own right, a living entity that mirrors the fragility of its inhabitants. As you navigate its crumbling infrastructure, you're forced to confront the futility of human control. No matter how advanced our technology or how determined our efforts are, nature always wins. And that's one of the game's most compelling themes: the insignificance of humanity in the face of forces far greater than ourselves. Now, let's talk about your coworkers. If there's one thing Still Wakes the Deep makes painfully clear, it's that you're the only person on this damn rig who knows how to do anything. I mean, seriously, while you're risking your entire life, limb to limb, just to patch up some pipes, fix some generators, and outrun eldritch horrors, everyone else seems content to stand around and bark orders at you. Hey, can you climb up there and weld that pipe? Oh, and while you're at it, maybe fight off that thing. You know, we're all pretending that it doesn't exist, but we need you to handle it. Sure, no problem, man. Don't strain yourself or anything. It's almost like the other workers have an unspoken agreement to let you handle everything. Meanwhile, you're juggling more responsibilities than a single human should ever have to deal with. Honestly, it's almost funny, especially when you take into consideration you just got canned. It would be comical if it wasn't so terrifying.
Come on, man. It's only a wee bit of trouble with the polish.
But here's the thing. That sense of being the only capable person on the rig feeds into the game's deeper themes. Still Wakes the Deep thrives on creating a sense of helplessness. You might be the most competent person here, but even that isn't enough. The rig is falling apart around you. The ocean is an unstoppable force, and the horrors lurking in the shadows are beyond anything you've ever faced. The isolation isn't just physical, it's emotional. As you complete task after task, it becomes painfully clear that you're alone in every sense of the word. The game forces you to confront the idea that sometimes no amount of effort is ever enough to overcome the challenges in front of you. It's a sobering realization one that stays with you long after you've put down the controller. And then there's the monster, or should I say, the presence. Still Wakes the Deep is a masterclass in subtlety, when it comes to horror design at least. The creature isn't just a physical threat, it's a manifestation of the rig's decay, of humanity's hubris, and of the unrelenting power of the natural world. The game doesn't rely on cheap jump scares to frighten you. Instead, it uses the atmosphere. The sound design is particularly brilliant, a cacophony of groaning metal, distant screams, and the ever-present roar of the sea. Every sound feels deliberate, designing to keep you on edge, and when you finally come face to face with the creature, it's not just terrifying, it's overwhelming. It's as if the rig itself has come alive to punish you for your intrusion. But what makes Still Wakes the Deep truly special are the quiet moments. The game doesn't bombard you with non-stop action or scares. Instead, it gives you time to breathe, or at least it pretends to. These moments of calm, where you can stand still and stare out at the ocean, are some of the most haunting in the game. There's something profoundly humbling about the vast emptiness of the sea. It reminds you that, in the grand scheme of things, you're just a tiny speck in an infinite and different universe. These moments are a stark contrast to the chaos of the rig, and they make the horror feel all the more real. Because sometimes the scariest thing isn't what's lurking in the shadows, it's the realization of how small and powerless we are. By the time you reach the end of Still Wakes the Deep, you're left with more questions than answers. And that's exactly the point. This is a game that doesn't hand you a neatly wrapped conclusion. Instead, it lingers in your mind, forcing you to piece together its themes long after the credits roll. The real horror isn't just the monster. It's the realization that some things are beyond our comprehension. It's the helplessness of being trapped in a situation you can't control, and the knowledge that survival doesn't always mean victory.
Can you hear me, guys? Please, man, hurry!
Still Wakes Deep is more than a game. It's an experience. A haunting exploration of isolation, vulnerability, and the fragility of human control. It's a story that sticks with you, not because of its scares, but because of what it makes you feel. So if you're looking for a horror game that's as thought-provoking as it is terrifying, this one is unmissable. And maybe after playing, you'll finally appreciate dry land a little bit more.
Ut till on